So if you're my age, you're old enough to remember the LA riots in the 90s. I mean, they even made songs about it. Dr. Dre made a song about it, which I used to like when I was younger. Then I grew up and I listened to it a little more closely, and it's like, this is probably not a very good message. I keep reminding people that there's this push for a race war and for just an all-out war, period, and that you're being agitated on purpose, okay? And a lot of people get pissed off when I point out the things that are going on in the world. I'm not gonna name anybody and shame them, and I can understand why. You subscribe for one thing and you get another thing. I get that, but I want to make an analogy here for you. I want you to understand that you're on a ship, right? Just think of the United States or the world as a ship that everybody's on together, okay? And you've got a leak, and somebody comes to your room and you're playing video games, you're having a good time, having a beer or whatever, knocking a few back, and somebody comes and says, "Hey, there's a leak downstairs, and it's not good." And your response is, "I don't want to hear about that leak now. I don't care about that leak. I'm having fun. Leave me alone." It's like, but yeah, you're on the ship, right? Everybody's on the ship. Eventually, it's going to reach where you are. It's going to get to your floor, okay? And the ship is going down, and you need to get on the lifeboat, like now. You know what I mean? Like, I like video games, right? But there's a time for that, and then there's a time to like be an adult and understand that things are getting bad. For half a decade, I've been trying to wake you guys up to the fact that shit is getting very, very bad. All right? And you're going to see a lot of this stuff coming out more and more. And I told you guys years ago that these people were going to be getting talked about a lot. This was once a very taboo subject. You couldn't go there. You just couldn't go there, okay? Well, now everybody's going there. Laura Loomer, time to deploy Palantir tech to Los Angeles to deal with the illegals. You'd love to see it. You're lying if you say you wouldn't. Yeah, that's this is what we call problem, reaction, solution, where people create a problem and they manufacture the reaction and then they give you the prescribed solution, which is like a big brother, technocratic, 1984 Orwellian hellscape. So they bring these people in, they cause all this trouble, and then everybody's like, yeah, we're gonna have to deal with that. So we're just gonna have to, we're gonna have to deploy this, and we're gonna have to do all these things. Like after 9/11, you had, what was it, I can't remember what they even called it. It escapes me. I've said it a million times. Where they started tapping people's phones and listening because, we had to watch out for the terrorism, right? But that never went away. After 9/11 and everything was done and all that, even 18 years later when we were done in Afghanistan fighting for Israel, it's still, we still have all those laws that they passed where they can spy on us. This is why I point people to Hegelian dialectic over and over again, problem, reaction, solution. And I know there's people that they just don't want to hear about it, right? They just want to enjoy themselves. But before you know it, shit's going to get real. And I like to be ahead of the curve with that kind of stuff, in case you haven't noticed, right? And it's not good for my channel. I have people that get pissed off when I post EQA content because they're here for what I'm talking about now. I get people that get pissed off when I talk about this stuff now because they're here for EQA content. But the best way I can reach people is through this channel, because every time I upload on another channel, I'm lucky to get 10 views. So if I can reach 400 or 500 people on this channel, I'm going to keep doing it. Right? Now you got people that are finally waking up, right? They're finally waking up. Let's listen to this real quick, because I got some things to say.
If you would have asked me like 9 months ago if I would ever be making pro-white content, I would have looked at you like you were insane. Like, the idea of a white person being proud to be white is so foreign to most of us. And it's really only been conflated with evil and hate and maliciousness. And it's like you stop and you think about that. Like, white people are really the only ones that are taught to hate ourselves. We're the only ones that are blamed for every and all atrocities across the planet over all of time. We are the only ones that are taught to be colorblind. We're the only ones that are constantly having diversity shoved down our throats. Like, we are a global minority being replaced in our own countries, and I've had enough.
Right. So I'm sure there's quite a few people that feel that way now. And I want you to understand that the way that this is being rolled out is controlled. It's not like, oh, they've lost control of the narrative and all these people are waking up. Shut it down. Shut it down. No. No. You're in the late stage of a plan that has been planned out for a long time. And now they're waking the sleeping bear because they need that sleeping bear to put on those finishing touches of how this works. This is why I made Echoes of Weimar Republic, okay? Or Weimar Republic. When Nations Fall, Echoes of Weimar Republic. Because I wanted people to understand that it's engineered. So they do all this stuff to piss you off on purpose. Because it's at the point where they need you to be that opposite force that brings the two forces together into a conflict. And then when that conflict is over, they get the pre-prescribed solution, okay? So they guide you into this conflict. There's a reason why you were shamed and you weren't able to say any of this stuff, and now all of a sudden everybody's just, oh, we're all waking up about how biased it is and how one-sided it's been. Everybody's just waking up to that all at once and getting angry. So they pumped all these people into your country knowing that this was going to happen. They created a powder keg. It doesn't matter if you're in Ireland. It doesn't matter if you're in America or where you are. It doesn't matter. You can be... I'm sure you've seen the videos of how London isn't London anymore. And France isn't France anymore. This isn't done by mistake. This was done on purpose. They'll sit there and tell you to your face that they did this on purpose. And I find it interesting they walk past this building right here in this little report that they did like 20 years ago. This woman is going to tell you right to your face that, yeah, we're the ones who did this. Okay? Because in order for you to survive, we had to bring all these people in. We just had to create this globalist, one world order satanic society. And do the whole gay pride garbage. So you've got all this stuff that's agitating people on purpose. And most of the content creators that talk about it aren't telling you that. They're just like, they're for one side or they're for the other. They won't tell you that, hey, both sides are being manipulated and used. Okay? Now, a lot of people ask me, well, then what are we supposed to do? Just sit on our hands? Well, that's not what's going to happen. There's going to be a final battle between good and evil. It's in Revelation. Unfortunately, the Antichrist comes out on top of that. But Christ gives victory to those who believe in him. But this is absolutely going to be horrible. If you look around the world and you understand that there's no way you can just deport the problem, they're not just going to peacefully hop onto buses and, okay, my bad, I'll go back now. It's not going to happen, folks. If you take a look at Mexico and who is president of Mexico right now, she's this. After a whole bunch of people were killed to make sure she was the president over there. So now you've got this problem happening between Mexico and America and all this stuff. It's all been designed that way. It's not happening organically. That's the mistake a lot of people make. They think, well, everybody just happens to be waking up now. And all these things just happen to be taking place all at once. No. This has been controlled and it's been planned for a long time. I did a video on morals and dogma. Well, not a video on it, but there's a segment in there where I talked about the planned 3 world wars that they had lined up from like the 1800s, okay? And it speaks very explicitly about what's going to be happening. I'll pull it up real quick. Alright, so like I said before, ignore the glitch in the middle here. I have no idea what happened with that. But just read this. Pause it and read it. I'm not going to read it out loud again. I've already done it like 3 times. Pause this and read this, and then I want you to understand it was written before anybody was born listening to this video, okay? But probably before your parents were born, or grandparents even. So this goes way back. And if you take a look at what it's saying here, you're going to think to myself, whoa, this is exactly what's happening today. This is exactly, wow, this is leading somewhere. This is planned out. Like I said before, these are just footnotes. But you can go through and you can read about the First World War and how that was brought about. You can read about the Second World War. And look at the book. If you want to read the book, there's a whole book on Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma. You can find it on Amazon. You can probably get it on the Wayback Machine and just read it for free, okay? But this stuff is planned out. It's not a mistake, what's happening in the world. And I keep trying to bring this to people's awareness, and they get angry. Like, look, man, I'm trying to enjoy my game in my cabin. Leave me alone. Yes, but the ship is going down. Do you understand? So I know that it's irritating. I get that. I was completely content just playing my video games before Anita Sarkeesian came around and started hammering me over the head telling me I was sexist because I like to play Super Mario games.
Everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out.
Most people who are doing this right now, that's how we were. We were just fine in our little bubble. And then something came along and rattled the cage and we said, "Hey, what's this all about? Why are you calling me names? I didn't do anything to you." And slowly we began to understand and fight against it. That's a thing. Anyways, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. Look, see, here's the president of Mexico. See?
If necessary, we will mobilize because we do not want taxes on the remittances sent by our fellow countrymen from the United States to Mexico.
And they're going to tell you the deal over here on Twitter, for the most part, on X, sorry. And the whole Elon and Trump thing, come on, man. I can't believe people are falling for that. And that's what I posted about over here. This is why I'm not picking a side. You see Elon over here bowing down to them. You see Trump pulling out their freaking chair. They both work for the same people. So this kind of shit is orchestrated. It's fake, okay? You got to smarten up. I don't want to see people taken unaware by this garbage. And I like my video games too, all right? Obviously, I'm always going to be a nerd at heart. That's not going to change. But nevertheless, there's a problem. And eventually that problem is going to make its way to your front door in one way or another. You might have noticed that things are getting kind of expensive. That's not going to go away. That's just going to get worse. That's going to get worse. That's why I point people to Jesus Christ. Okay, John 3:16, "For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life." I've had people come to the channel recently. I never thought it would happen. And they've said, "Man, I didn't get what you were doing." And left the same comment that this other guy left, saying, "Hey, I'm here for EQOA." And he didn't like what I was doing. He took off. And he just lived life for a couple of years, for like 3 years. And then he realized, holy smokes, everything this guy said is true and it's happening. And he came back and he said, I didn't get it. Now I get it. Thank you for telling me. Because if somebody hadn't told me, I don't think I would have put it all together and noticed it. You have to have somebody that shows you these things. And God has put people in the world to show you these things. And it's not without risk. This isn't something that makes me popular, right? It's not something that's going to get me a partnership deal. So people have to take that into account. When you've got people that are willing to risk basically everything, up into including being thrown in prison for wrong think or being lined up and shot, you have to think, why would somebody do that? Why wouldn't they just continue to talk about video games and grow their channel instead of pissing people off? You think I don't look at my analytics and see that I lost 5 people the last time I talked about this stuff? Oh, well. Hopefully those 5 people will understand that I was trying to wake them up and the seeds that I planted spring to life at some point and it clicks. That's why I keep doing it. So if it irritates people, well, to be honest with you, I'm not really sorry. What's happening in the world is offensive. You're going to get offended by it. Learning about the truth is going to offend you. Being told that you're a sinner and God had to die for your sins is an offensive thing to people. It just is. The truth is not, it's not popular. The line to truth is very short. The comfortable lie line is very long. People they want their bread and circus, and they don't give a shit that Rome is collapsing all around them. So yeah, that's it for this one, guys. Thumbs it up if you liked it. Comment, subscribe. Click the notification bell. God bless it, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.
I'm not sure what's going on in Britain. Or let me say this, I don't know what's going on in London. because London is no longer an English city. And that's how they got the Olympics. I mean, they said we're the most cosmopolitan city on earth, but it doesn't feel English. I had a Californian friend come over 2 months ago, walk down the King's Road and said to me, well, where are all the English people?
Not risk open war.
Open war is upon you, whether you would risk it or not.